Gently bring your mind's attention to the seat you're sitting. Head, neck and trunk straight and aligned. Foundation balanced. Hands resting gently on your thighs. Shoulders relaxed. Eyes softly closed. Relax your forehead. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Relax your entire body. Head to toes and toes to head. Gently guide your awareness to your breath. Navel to nostrils as you exhale. Nostrils to navel as you inhale. Free flowing breath without a pause, without a break. Become aware and let your mind ride on your breath. Should your mind wander, just check, is your forehead relaxed? Are you slouching? And gently bring it back. Take a gentle breath in and we will chant Om together 3 times. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Namaste and welcome everyone. So today is the penultimate class and we are going to summarize what we have so far learned a little bit and then conclude the topic of Karma Yoga by selected shlokas from chapter 18. And you know, it is not, chapter 18 is not considered as a chapter on Karma Yoga or anything. And it was quite surprising that Shirin still wanted to go there. And I realized that had I not done that, I would have missed out a very important point about the karma itself. And therefore, I feel that all that has gone past and all that is happening and all that will happen, there is really no doer. I mean, we've been talking for the last 10 classes on surrendering the fruit of the action and doing it as a yajna and so on and so forth. But in fact, who is to do that? Because there is no doer. So this was the paradox that was very much coming home to me as I prepared for this class today. So what have we done so far? We started to recapitulate. We started with Arjuna's despondency as to what sort of karma you should do. And he therefore beseeched Sri Krishna as a disciple, Shishyastvam. So then Sri Krishna has enlightened him on what is, first thing he taught him was, what is the true nature of the self, and that how he was misidentifying with the body and mind, and therefore he was in this dilemma and confusion, and the main cause of his confusion was his attachment to both his teacher and his grandfather. So first thing we learned was that the truth is the unchanging, avyaya, nitya, nirakara, and ananta. Sat Chit Ananda. That is what we learned. And then Sri Krishna, it's all right to understand all this theoretically, and really it goes over the head, especially of a person who is deluded and who is in a state of severe despondency and attachment. Therefore, then, Sri Krishna shows him a way out, and that is the way of karma. And that karma yoga is something that anybody and everybody can practice. He starts in chapter 2 itself with the famous shloka of karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuvu ma te sanghosva karmani. So you cannot, he is throughout the Bhagavad Gita, even though he tells you the highest of Vedantic truths, he has goaded Arjuna to perform his duty and take up the responsibility in the space that he has been allotted by nature and by his birth. And therefore, it is very interesting for people like us who identify with our role. Our role is that of a mother, our role may be that of a house maker, our role may be that of a doctor. Whatever the role is, we take it very seriously. And for such a being who is not enlightened to his true nature, Karma Yoga is the only answer, because Karma Yoga enables you to purify your mind in such a way that knowledge can then dawn on it, such an intellect. So we learned from chapter 3 and chapter 4 what are the principles of Karma Yoga, and there are 18 of them. First, of course, is Karma Phala Tyag. Second is Asanga. Third is to be as a Yajna. And fourth is for the care of others, Samagraha. So first put in Vyashti, Samashti before Vyashti. That is the well-being of all, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataya, and not of yourself. Then fifth is Chitta Shuddhi. What does it do? Ends up doing, making your mind pure. Because when you apply these principles, you automatically notice that the other person whom you call other is in fact a reflection of you, is none other than the Lord himself, albeit in a different form and with a different function and with a different nature. But that is what the Chitta Shuddhi ends up doing for you. And then the ignorance of separation will easily happen, and you will develop that adhikaritvam for the true knowledge to dawn. Then the sixth principle is that you are always a role model. So be careful how you behave, because your role model is what is going to inspire the others. You might think that, Arey, who's going to bother with looking at me? But it's not true. Lots of people, even your friends, are looking up to you, and therefore uh, you must act in such a way that the role that you are playing is done with righteousness. Seventh is to protect the masses. Now, people who are in this high positions, like the Prime Minister of India, now he has to protect us. If he doesn't protect us and he lays the frontiers open to aggression, what will happen? What about the different aggressors in different ways? Therefore, if you are in such a position, you must make sure that you protect the masses. Then with the arpana vritti, that you offer and you surrender all that is uh, in your within your ken. Actually, arpana buddhi is a very deep vritti, in the sense that you even surrender your very notion of yourself at the feet of the Lord. Then, of course, is the prasada buddhi, which we have talked about a lot, and samashti and then vyashti. And all these principles are meant for people like us who are ignorant of the true nature of the self. They do not apply to the jnani or the karma sannyasin, as he is called, because we have discussed at length that how he action and inaction and inaction in action, because there is no doer there. So karma cannot apply to a being who has identified with Brahman and not with the body, mind, intellect complex. And it also avoids you from becoming a mithyachari. Why mithyachari? Because you can take don the garb, the ochre robe, and walk into the Himalayas, but all the time think of what are the pleasures you have renounced, and that is being a hypocrite. So therefore, you can stay in the world and renounce. Much better. Nobody needs to know anything, and you will gain the chitta shuddhi. Then the parasparo devo bhava. Everybody is nothing but, you see, you have whatever you have is given by God, is it not? What can you give back to him? You can only give back to your neighbor, to your sister, to your father, your brother, your community, your nation. Why? That's the way you will be paying off the Ishvara. You can never pay him off, but at least you will be able to give to him by having this bhava. Then every routine action is being spiritualized because of all these tenets that we have so far discussed. And those tenets are going a long way in changing and transforming our own personality. Then do not settle the masses. An average person's attitude is ethical and dharmic. So there is somebody, and then you start saying, "Arey, give up." As a small child, you tell the child, no, just give up all the fruit of your action. Doesn't matter if you do your studies, but give up the fruits of your action. Whether you come first or second or last is okay. He will not be motivated to work. So you have to be you have to be wise in whom you are telling what. So that is another important principle. Then the Swadharma. See, wherever position, according to our prarabdha, we have been given a certain role in this life. And according to your age, the varnashram dharma, and according to your aptitude, you should follow that. You cannot see every action is wrought with some evil. Like being a gynecologist, when I hated to do abortions. So I was not getting any patients only in the beginning when I started practice in Mumbai. And my mother just went on repeating these shlokas and telling me that even Sri Krishna has said, you are qualified for it. The other women will go to a quack and get may die even. So you should be doing it, however bad you may feel about it. So there is an evil attached to any action that you undertake. You must remember this. And therefore, should I have given up being a gynecologist? Obviously not. And luckily for me, as fortune would have it, I went to Dubai. So it was all illegal. I never had to do abortions. So nature, nature grants you. He conspires to fulfill your desires. So but don't give up your dharma. Then buddhi, it is also a buddhi yoga, because using your intellect, you cannot perform your action without using the intellect. And if you do use the intellect, you will go very much faster on the path. And finally, it is the ultimate way of getting over raga and dvesha and maintaining an equanimous attitude, because we do not expect the karma phala. So now, to conclude the class on karma yoga, I am going to tell you some of the selected verses of chapter 18, without which no doubt we have skipped one entire chapter, the karma sannyasa, chapter 5, but that is got to do more with the enlightened being than with us. Therefore, I did not think it necessary. And besides, we are very short of time. Nobody can talk about karma yoga through Bhagavad Gita in 11 talks or 12 talks. It takes a lifetime even to to understand the way to practice. And it requires repeated reminders of how, and monitoring of how you are performing whatever action you are doing. So the first shloka, now you know, who am I to say this? But the title of chapter 18 is Moksha and Sannyas. So, and Arjuna's first question is that Sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha rishikesha pruthak keshini sudana. Now, the translation is, Arjuna said, see that he has addressed Sri Krishna in so many warm ways. First is Mahabaho, the mighty armed one. Then he calls him Rishikesha, the one who lives in your heart. And then he calls him Keshina Keshi Sudana. That is the one who has Keshini, who has killed Asura Keshi. Now, Arjuna is saying, I mean, what was going on till chapter 17? He's now asked, can you tell me separately, Pruthak, tell me separately and severally the truth about sannyasa and the truth about tyaga? So I thought that what was Arjuna listening to all this while? But anyway, this is a summary. The chapter 18 is a summary. Therefore, it requires the repetition. And Sri Vyasa has reminded us. And still, I find something new. So now here, what tyaga means is karma phala. And sannyasa means renunciation of your actions. So Sri Krishna is answering him. See how patient is Sri Krishna. He says, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phala tyagam prahurs tyagam vichakshanaha. So some sages understood sannyasa as the giving up of all actions motivated by desire. And the wise declare that tyaga consists in relinquishing the fruit of all actions. Now here, we have to understand there are three different types of people. The first is a bhogi, who does every action. It's called kamya karmi. That means the one who is doing actions for the fruit and for gratifying his desires. Such a person is called a bhogi. The second is a yogi who is doing, like us, we are all yogis because we are trying to practice karma yoga. So those of us who are trying to practice karma yoga and karma phala is not in our heart, and we are keeping the goal of reaching Sri Krishna or the truth in our mind all the time, we are called yogis. And who is the third type? The third type is the sannyasin, who doesn't even need to renounce anything because he has renounced his petty self, the small identity that we carry with ourselves as so very precious. So these are the three, and they already are Brahmagnanis. Therefore, they do not need to follow any kind of yoga at all. They are beyond the yoga. Now, let us talk about the Kamya Karmis because we can identify that aspect of us many times. See, what happens is that the action that is born out of desire is due to the fact that I believe I am the body mind. And once I believe that I am the body mind, I chalk out a territory, just more like a dog, who pisses around and it makes sure that nobody enters that territory. It's almost literally like that because we get very offended if somebody intrudes into our territory of in gratifying our desires. Therefore, these people who are that part of us are bound to suffer the karma of whatever we do, because you will get the fruit if it is good or bad or mixed, whatever the fruit may be. But some of the sages, what are the sages trying to tell us? That we should give up all the actions, and it seems as though it is much more difficult than to give up the fruits of these actions, because you do an action to get the fruit, basically. That's why, is it better than to give up the actions is the question. Now, giving up the action is like getting attached to inaction. And that is being a mithyachari. And we have already enumerated the fact that we should not be doing that, but we should try not to be attached, that is asanga. And then, you see, because karma, we cannot compute the result of the karma, and therefore we should just surrender the fruit of that action. So what are the four different types of karma we do? Nitya karma is like brushing your teeth and eating and sleeping, regular work, regular daily chores. Then there is the Nainitya karma, that is you do perform rituals like Shraddha and marriage and all these samskaras depending on your social background, caste and custom. And there is the third, which is the Nishiddha karma. That means that karma which is prohibited. I mean, you can't go kill anybody. So that is Nishiddha karma. And the fourth is the Kamya karma, about which we have been talking. So these are the four different types of karma. And you can see very clearly that where is the fruit for which you are striving. So in Nitya karma also, there is a fruit that we are striving to attain. And all of that, of course, it doesn't mean that you tell Sri Krishna that, look, now I'm going to brush my teeth, and the fruit thereof will be nice shining teeth, which I offer to you. It doesn't make too much sense. But if you can do it, that's fine also. It's not against the rule. So anyhow, so notice what are the different types of karmas, what are we indulging in, why are we indulging in them, and what do we expect out of them. Now, the fifth shloka says, Yajna dana tapah karma na tyajyam karya meva tat yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not worth giving up. This is what I wanted to emphasize a little bit, because now comes the actually the fabric of the universe, how it is made. And therefore, if we had not touched on it, we would have been very incomplete, is my understanding. So they're not worth giving up. They must be performed. For sacrifice, charity, and penance are all purifiers to the wise men. So sacrifice meaning rituals over here. So Eknath has said that this yajna is actually should be understood, that sacrifice should be understood in its correct application. First, sacrificing self-will for the benefit of others. Bahujana Sukhaya, Bahujana Hitaya. So this was the principle which King Ashoka followed after he won the Kalinga war and saw the massive massacre. And he could not then take part in another war. Now, Eknath further stresses that the importance of selfless work and generosity are not just moral values, but of utmost importance if one wishes to progress on the spiritual path. It depends on what your aim is. And if your aim is that you want to get the adhikar so that knowledge dawns in your mind, then you have no choice but to act selflessly and be generous. Because the self is covered with layers upon layers of ego grime, he calls it, which needs to be wiped clean before it can be revealed, before the self can be revealed. So the obligatory works should be performed. So charity, yajna, and penance, austerity should be performed. But how? Now is the secret. How? I am keeping on saying the secret, but I'm not telling you the secret. That's because I want to keep the best for the last. So anyway, to be done without attachment. Why? Now Shloka 6 says, Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani me partha nischitam matam uttamam. That is, hence these acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance, and all the other acts of duty too, must be performed without attachment and expectation of reward. This is my well-considered and supreme verdict, Arjuna. So he's giving him the supreme verdict. Now, Swami Ram has said that some learned people have advised that all actions should be given up. Why? They are not totally wrong, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And you get stuck in that whirlpool of action, reaction, action, reaction. So better to stay away from the action is what some wise people have advised. Other learned men advise that good actions need not be given up, for they need not bind the individual. So the reaction can be prevented if you have done the action with non-attachment. That means without attachment. So that is very important that you remember that a Sangha as the secret of proper action. So that is what Sri Krishna is advising us, and then the fruit will not accrue to you. So yajna, in the sense that Sri Krishna has given, Eknath is giving an example of the yajna. He said that, he had a very innocent desire of being a public speaker and a writer, an author, and so on and so forth. And soon he worked towards it, and he became very popular. Also, he was on the All India radio and all of that. And one day, one great the head of Ramakrishna Mutt invited him to speak. And he thought that I have been speaking, but have I, of course, he was a thinker from the beginning, have I really spoken the way I should have spoken? So he went without preparation of any kind. And the way he spoke, it was as though Ramakrishna was telling his own story. And at the end of the class, he was feeling that I'm hearing these words myself for the first time. So then he realized that that is the true yajna. Why? Because when you are absent, after that he stopped preparing for his classes. But that means he had become a pure channel for his ego had completely dissolved at that moment in time for the body mind to be used literally as a microphone for the Lord to tell what he wants to tell. That is the true yajna that is happening. So throughout the Bhagavad Gita, if there is one thing Sri Krishna has stressed, it is perform your action. So the take-home message has always been the attitude with which one performs any action. Attitude, attitude, attitude. In spite of having heard the Bhagavad Gita for me myself, since quite early in life, I don't think I understood much of this aspect. And now I feel that we need maturity and readiness, as also the conviction, the shraddha, that this is going to lead to the right end. We tend to not have that shraddha. So that readiness is not there. So now, let us come to the secrets of all secrets. There are some 4 shlokas, which I shall quickly read, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Niyatasya tu sannyasah karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagah tamasah parikirtitah. So prohibited acts and those mentioned by desire, motivated by desire, should no doubt be given up. But it is not advisable to abandon the prescribed duty. Such abandonment out of ignorance has been declared tamasic. You know, why am I, let me finish reading these because I have to tell you so many things. So let me finish reading these. Shloka 8 is, Dukkham ityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat jet sakrutva rajasam tyagam naivam tyaga phalam labhet. So should anyone give up his duties for fear of physical strain, thinking that all actions are verily painful, practicing such rajasic form of renunciation, he does not reap the fruit of renunciation. Karyam ityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva sa tyaga satviko mataha. The prescribed duty, which is performed simply because it has to be performed, giving up attachment and fruit, that alone has been recognized as the sattvika form of renunciation. And shloka number 10, na dveshtaya kushalam karma kushale nanupashajyate tyagi sattvasama vishto medhavi chinna samshayaha. He who has neither aversion for action, which is leading to bondage, akushala, nor attachment to that which is conducive to blessedness, that is the highest. Imbued with the quality of goodness, he has all his doubts resolved, is intelligent, and a man of true renunciation. Now let me tell you what I found so very exciting about these verses, that every action he will tell you in the following verses can be classified according to the gunas, whether it is a sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic action. Now, I am not spoken about the gunas in all these classes, as far as I recall. And that would be like falling through the black hole, because the fabric of this universe is on these 3 gunas, sattva, raja, and tama. the five Pancha Mahabhutas, that is the Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash, and these three gunas. Everything and anything can be classified according to this. Even your meditation, even water. Yesterday, what is the magic of what I want to share is that yesterday I have missed several classes of Uddhav Gita with Swami Tadatmanand, and I thought, let me make up at least one of them. And which class should I attend? The one in which he is saying all these 10 different functions that you do are also karmas, are the cause of sattva, raja, and tama. And it is so strange that today I have to discuss with you these, how renunciation can be sattvic, it can be tamasic, and it can be rajasic. So suppose, let's take, for example, I have given up a certain food. That is one action I'm doing. Why am I doing it? If I have given up now, for example, milk sweets. Okay, why have I given it up? Is it that I want to show everybody, see, I can do without sweets, I can do without pedha, oh, I can do without ice cream, I can imagine Shrikhand, one of my favorite sweets, I can do without rasmalai. Is that the reason why I have given it up? If that is so, then it is rajasic. If I have given it up, that means I have done a tyag, isn't it? If I have given it up because I will benefit somebody or something, that like the cow, then it is a sattvic tyaga. If I have given it up simply out of ignorance, somebody told me it is poisonous, you will get diabetes. So out of ignorance, of course, you'll get diabetes is a very important thing, but you won't get diabetes if you're not diabetic you don't have that tendency. So there are everything, tyaga can be divided into any, out of indolence. I don't go to a satsang because I say I'm renouncing action, so I will better sleep on my bed. That is a tamasic tyaga. Accordingly, austerity, whatever penance you undertake. See, when Gorakshanath went to Badrinath to do his tyaga, somebody was showing him round the caves, and in one cave he found one man. He was standing on one leg on a very sharp sort of a iron rod, and with one hand up, and he had become like a stick, but he was still breathing. And everybody was saying, what a great tyagi, what a great tyagi, and Gorakshanath thought to himself that, oh God, this is not the type of tyaga I want to do, because he was wise. Now, what does that mean? This kind of tyaga is either done for getting some powers, siddhis, which might benefit or which might harm others. This austerity, I mean. So this austerity can be also tamasic. The Rakshasas, they did a lot of penance to get the power to rule over the three worlds. And they often appeased Shankara because he was the most easily appeasable god. And then Vishnu, this is all tamasic austerity. So everything, every action of yours can be sattvic, can be rajasic, can be tamasic, even water. So I said, how can water be now tamasic? If you drink alcohol, it's water, no? So there is nothing, no karma that cannot be classified as rajasic, tamasic, or sattvic. And therefore you have to be very alert and very vigilant, When you undertake any action, and that if somebody is afraid that he is going to be and confused before he does any action, it is a Rajasic temperament. I didn't go there, because there is a mob there. It's a wise thing not to do. But because of fear, if you are not doing something, better example would be this. I must do Shraddha. You know why? Because otherwise the Pitrus will get angry. If the Pitrus are getting angry with you and you're doing the Shraddha for that, then for sure this is a Rajasic thing. This ritual is definitely Rajasic. Okay, you do it for whatever reason. But if you are doing it because you want to remember your parents, your grandparents, and out of the love for them, and out of the fact that this ritual is only a remembrance of all that I am is because of them, it is a sattvic ritual. How many of us are doing it with that attitude? So remembering this is very, very important. I mean, knowing how it can be Rajasic, how it can be Tamasic, anything that you do will depend. So even if you don't do the ritual, then it is okay, but you remember them on their anniversaries or whatever. Or I have to remember my mother every single day because I know what I am is because of her and all her guidance, and I still get her guidance. So now to conclude, I want to say that the purpose of the Karma Yoga taught above is given in this verse number 10. And that is what is going to conclude our class. And what is the 10th verse? It said, he who has neither aversion for action which brings bondage. How strange is that? Now, I have to do a termination of pregnancy just because the patient is unmarried or whatever reason. And it is binding me, isn't it? Because I'm going to do Bruhan Hatya. That Arjuna was going to kill a Brahmin, no? Dronacharya. It is going to bind him to Brahma Hatya. Is it not? Ultimately, but it is not that. It is the attitude, the motivation that determines the fruit thereof. But whatever it is something that is he's averse to doing. So he does it anyway because he has gone beyond the aversion and beyond the attraction of doing a job that is conducive to blessedness. Like what is the action that is conducive to blessedness? The action like going for a pilgrimage, and with a very sattvic, going to going and seeing Ram Lalla in Ayodhya, which Rama went. All of these things might make you feel really blessed. But the one who has neither, he's not, it doesn't matter to him what action he is doing, simply because he has gone beyond these dvandvas of goodness and badness. Goodness and badness. So all these actions, and his doubts are resolved. Why? Why? How? Because he knows for a fact that there is nothing other than Sri Krishna everywhere. This body-mind appears to be separate from that body-mind, but they are all the forms, myriad forms Sri Krishna has taken, or the God, or what Brahman has taken to frolic and enjoy himself. So for the unenlightened man, however, on the other hand, who wears a body, he wears a body by way of identifying with it. who disabused of the notion that the self is the agent of action, he doesn't know that the self is not the agent of action, firmly believes that he himself is the agent. For him, karma yoga is an absolute must. So, renunciation of fruits is alone possible for the ignorant. That alone he can renounce, because, this much we understand very clearly, that the fruit of the action is not in our hands. We understand that. For whatever the reasons, seen, unseen, but we have tried and we have not succeeded. We have not tried and suddenly we are blessed with some great good fortune. We know all this. So what the least that we can do is surrender that fruit, but continue to do our action in the best possible way that we can. And if we can keep the other tenets, the principles of Karma Yoga in mind, I think we would have attained Chitta Shuddhi at least. So for him, he has to do Karma Yoga. He is said to be a Tyagin. So that is the difference between a Sannyasin and a Tyagin. Sannyasin doesn't have to do anything, because the true Sannyasin I'm talking about, because he has renounced this false identification. So whatever he does, however bad the karma might seem to be, and which actually binds you, cannot bind him in any case, because he is not there. So that is a sannyasin. So hence, even if, like if he was to kill Dronacharya and Bhishma, no karma would, that would be called karma sannyas if he is not identifying with his body. So the fruit of any action may be evil, good, or mixed. If it is evil, you will get lower yonis to be born in. If it is very good, you may go to Devaloka. And if it's mixed, you may have the human birth. So all these accrue to the unenlightened being. But the one who has attained the discriminative and right knowledge, to him no karma ensues or accrues. So they have the right knowledge, and that is what we are aiming to be. So having concluded our understanding of what is Karma Yoga, of dispelling also the myths around Karma Yoga. I am doing my duty, that's now Karma Yoga. How you are doing your duty, and then with the aim of attaining at least Chitta Shuddhi, and not knowing for a fact that all karmas can be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. We come to to conclude our discussions of what is Karma Yoga and how it is to be practiced, and ultimately where it actually does lead, and that is Chitta Shuddhi and knowledge and moksha, renunciation of the fruits of our action, leading to this knowledge of the self. Now, with all this summary and this conclusion, I want to, I hesitate to say, I want to surrender the fruit of this action to the Lord's feet, because I want to share that there is this feeling, this knowledge that who is surrendering, to whom is being surrendered, what is being surrendered. Is it not all just that one single tattva that pervades this entire universe? And who am I to even think that I am separate and that I can surrender to the Lord? So with whatever that is, I pray for the benefit of all mankind Sarvepi sukhinas santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. With this sincere and heartfelt prayer, I thank you all for this regular attendance, and I thank Pavanji a lot for having given me this opportunity to understand more and more this wonderful treatise of the Bhagavad Gita. So I would welcome any, we have some 10 minutes, we'll welcome any comments or any observations on your practice is what I wanted to know. So we'll do the homework now. And then, because the next class is more or less only about free will and karma. Anyone can talk. Everybody is gone within. I can see that. So we can conclude also the class.
Actually, the whole thing is so overwhelming. So we have learned it. So again, we mull over it. क्या करना है? कितना deep है? हे भगवान. Today you said something about that unpleasant thing, no? Unpleasant. Like sometimes there is no choice कुछ काम करने का. But that doesn't mean कर्म योगा. जो मजबूरी में जो करते हैं ना, like कोई काम, but that is not कर्म योगा. है ना? वो difference है ना? Yeah.
Of course. Bilkul. You do it out of choice. Yes, correct. You choose to do whatever it is. So you are getting to the next topic of free will. We'll talk about that. You think you had the freedom to say this. Fine. We'll see how much of that is true. All right.
I'll just share one little experience, Shirin, if that's okay.
Yes, sure.
One of the things I regularly have this headache and migraines that happen. But one of these mornings when I had it, I just said, whatever it is, I think it is you're trying to give me some, not a punishment, but it's I was doing pretty much of a, it's your blessing. You're probably removing some of my karma and whatnot. And within 10 minutes, the entire headache was gone. So, yeah. So that was one of the wonderful, wonderful things that happened to me last week.
So beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. You see, devotion and the right understanding. Actually, you know about any health issues, there's something called Adi and there is something called Vyadhi. So Adi is the illness is in your subtle body first, and then it becomes a Vyadhi in the physical body. So we never actually are addressing the Adi at all. We are addressing only the Vyadhi. That is why we are doing only symptomatic treatment, and therefore we cannot cure many diseases. They arise in the subtle body. So when you have used the, I mean, genuinely you have done your attitude was that it is for my benefit that this is happening, that taking it as a prasada of the Lord. And Rajneesh used to say, निपटारा हो गया, अपना निपटारा हो गया, ऐसे सोचना है. कोई भी कर्म होता है तो निपटारा हो रहा है. So when you actually are genuine, somewhere in your subtle forms, that vehicle, Sukshma Sharira, you have been able to erase that samskara somewhere. and it may come again, nothing to worry about it. But be very continuously the same attitude, and you will surely reap the harvest. Actually, Goenka ji went to do his vipassana because he used to get terrible migraines. He was becoming a morphine addict. And Sayaji Yubakin, who was his guru, told him that please, if you are coming for removing your migraine, then get out from here right now. It's not for that you are going to study this great knowledge. So he said he drove it out of his mind. But the benefit of having sincerely practiced was so tremendous that he got over his migraine. So it is the sincerity of your practice and not for a certain purpose. We are not doing it for karma phala hetu, right? That is the point. Wonderful, lovely. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed having you the most, Badri. So thank you for being there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Om asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrutyorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti 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 Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste and thank you, thank you, thank you.